Hi, welcome to Awareness Through Movement Home Moves Session number 7. Can't believe we're already here, but here we are. As always, I'm joined by Rachel, who's on the floor. Give us a wave, Rachel. Oh, you even chose the right camera. Well done. Rachel's here to be, she's just participating in the lesson like you might be. She's not here to observe for how to do it correctly, but she will give us a sense of the correct positioning and orientation to be in throughout the lesson. So hopefully that's useful for you. But please don't feel obliged to look at the screen. In fact, it's better if you don't look at the screen throughout this lesson. As always, please use common sense with regard to your own health and what your limits and limitations are or may be. This lesson isn't to be confused with a medical prognosis or to give you specialist advice in the case of having a medical issue. So use your common sense in terms of how you engage with the lesson. I'm just noticing the big scratch on top of my head every time I bend my head down. That's because when you're bald and you bump your head into things, it's not good. It's important to use awareness in how you get about your life. This lesson it's one of my favorites. It's also out of the lexicon of Feldenkrais Awareness Through Movement lessons. This is a fairly central one, a fairly famous one. I think I said that last week as well, but this one is called The Introduction to the Pelvic Clock. And the idea of a clock or moving around the dial of a clock face is one that is recurrent through Awareness Through Movement lessons. And this is the first time it's cropping up in this little series that I'm teaching. So what to say about it? It's relatively easy on your body. If you've got knee issues or shoulder issues, you should be fine. Like always, here's the key tenets to follow through doing a lesson. Go slowly. Notice when you start pushing and extending yourself in a way which is not comfortable anymore. So, which basically means notice when you start moving into effort, and then be willing to pull back. And in pulling back, allow yourself to make mistakes. Allow yourself to be curious. Allow yourself to just be in an attitude of light exploration. And if anything, for it to be a little bit funny, a little bit silly even. I'd much rather you had a smile on your face than a super serious grimace. And with that, we might get straight into it. So please lie on the floor on your back. I'll just give you a moment to do that. Rachel's already doing it. So why do we get you on your back? We get you on your back for a couple of reasons. One is so you can have a moment to feel yourself in the absence of gravity, or rather your response to gravity in holding yourself upright. So even in a sitting position, and especially in a standing position, you've got to make all kinds of accommodations to be able to stabilize yourself in a vertical orientation in the field of gravity. So as soon as you lie down, all of those big stabilizer muscles can just take a breather. And in that it's like the essence of being it's the essence of being in the absence of effort, which is really where we want you to be when you're doing these kinds of lessons. So you can just be in your experience, and in the slackening off of effort, and especially in having a sense of ease when you're doing a movement, that allows you to be in a more sensitive state, to feel where contractions and sort of muscle responses kick in that aren't really a part of the movement or aren't beneficial to the movement. And I'll venture to say that stuff goes on for us all the time, 100 times, 1,000 times throughout the course of a day. And that's where we get aches and pains and we wonder why, what's going on. So this process assists you with that. Okay, glasses down. So here you are lying on your back. So just feel what the nature of your surface contact with the floor is today. How is it that you're lying? And just pay particular attention to the parts of you that feel like they're making contact with the floor, and I'll take you through it. And I'll take you through it just with, I'm looking at Rachel on the floor here. So starting from the bottom, just where your heels are making contact with the floor, and what information you can gather about yourself from what the nature of that contact is. So how your heels are making contact with the floor, where your heels are making contact with the floor, and whether that's the same place on both heels. And so this is an area that's right beside an area where there's an absence of contact. So the Achilles tendon and that upper bit of the ankle that's lifted from the floor. So what can you gather from that? And then your calves, your calf muscles, how they're contacting the floor, how that feels for you. And then behind your knees, which is generally another place that's lifted up off the floor. And the backs of your thighs, which can be either. Think about your hip joints, how they're contacting the floor, how the back of your pelvis is contacting the floor. And really pay attention to this, because this will be something we'll return to at the end of the lesson or through the lesson, and we'll just see how that's going for you. What might shift and change over the course of a lesson like this. Because essentially we are dynamic beings and things can change really rapidly, particularly when you're paying attention to what you're doing and to how you're lying. So then there's the lumbar spine, this lower back area that's lifted for most people. Then think about your dorsal spine, your mid-back area. And can you feel your ribs? Are you aware of where your ribs start contacting the floor? Do you have a sense of those really small lower ribs? What about your shoulders and your shoulder blades? And then we go up to the arch of your neck, the back of your head. And then there's both of your arms, so your upper arm and upper shoulder and how that's contacting on your left side and on your right side. Your elbows, where your elbows are contacting the floor and what information you can gather about yourself through that contact. And then into your lower arms and your hands, how your hands are lying on the floor, whether they're face down or face up, and how they're different side to side. And think about Feldenkrais talks about this idea of there being 5 main lines of the body. And it's like if you were to draw yourself as a stick figure. He calls them the 5 cardinal lines. These 5 primary important lines. And so one of them is your central line from your head down to your coccyx. So just imagine that line and what sense you have about the length of that line, where you don't really have a sense of that line, and where you feel that line might deviate from something that's relatively straight. Then there's the lines of your legs, so your left leg and your right leg. So just as a whole, do you feel any difference? Like, does one leg feel longer than the other? Does one leg feel more outside of the median line of your body? And there's your arms. Just feel your arms. And same question for your arms. Does one feel more present or longer or shorter? And then take a kinesthetic Polaroid picture of this. Just have a snapshot, have a sense of yourself. And it's not to indelibly imprint it into your mind, it's just to have this soft overview. And then could you, as gracefully and with as little effort as possible, roll to the side and bring yourself up to sitting. And sit with your knees splayed apart and your knees bent, your legs bent, and the soles of your feet together. And Rachel, I might get you to... Yeah, no, that's all right. Can you just move 2 feet to your right? Ah, sorry, not so much. 1 foot back. Perfect. Okay. And lean back on your hands. So get your hands behind you and your feet out in front of you, soles of feet together. So your knees are bowed out, bent out. And just find a position to be relaxed here. So move your feet a little bit further away from yourself, and then move them a little bit closer to yourself, and just go and attenuate that. Just find the place where it actually feels comfortable for you to sit in this position. And same with your hands. So you can put your hands a little bit further back, you can bring your hands a little bit closer to your body, and just find somewhere where it feels like you can be supported, but still remain relatively upright. And note that your fingers are going to be pointing away from your body. You're not doing some contortion, so you're on your thumbs. You're actually just hands are palm down. Great. So this is your starting position. So from this position, could you begin to fold yourself so you bend a little bit forwards, and then extend yourself so you make yourself a bit straighter. And so keep your hands where they are and keep your feet where they are. And so the folding of yourself is just to bend your back a little bit. You're just bending down, so it's almost like making yourself smaller. You're entering into flexion through the front. And then you're doing the opposite. You're straightening yourself up. So it's almost like folding your back and then extending your back. And as you do this, just notice where the weight shift on your pelvis goes. And just continue to explore this. We're just going to do this for a little bit, just to feel yourself through this. And note what you're doing with the head, and just notice that your head can relatively remain in the same place. So the action that's being done is through your spine. So you're bending through the spine to go into more like a C shape. And then you're straightening up, extending yourself. And just notice that your head can stay pretty much where it is. Your head's just staying central. The action here is being done through your spine. going to add something else into this. So as you extend yourself, as you raise your body up and extend backwards, think about pushing your belly out, pushing your abdomen out, and as you fold yourself forward, you're pulling your abdomen in. That's right. And just feel as you do this. And so this accentuates, this just really helps the movement of your back. Turns it into more of a clear movement of your back. And just notice as you fold, the weight shifts to the back of your pelvis. And as you extend, the weight shifts forward on your sit bones, more towards your feet. So just feel that as you go. So it's this, the movement of your back is creating a rolling, a tilting of your pelvis forward and back. Such that if you were sitting on a clock and 12 o'clock was in front of you and 6 o'clock was behind you, you would be, the weight of your pelvis would be rolling to 12 o'clock as you extend yourself and lift, and the weight of your pelvis would be rolling back onto your sacrum as you fold forward. So as your head and your weight comes forward, the weight on your pelvis goes back. And as you extend and thrust your belly forward, the weight also comes forward on your sit bones, on your pelvis. So just continue to go back and forward and just find a way to do this within the realm of what is comfortable for yourself. So you're not pushing too far. And for most people, when you draw your abdomen in, your knees are going to lift a little bit. And when you push your abdomen out, your knees are going to splay further, wider apart. And just note, is your head staying central throughout this whole movement? Now, accelerate the movement. You can make it smaller and make it faster. And just see whether you can really just make this a freely rocking movement on your pelvis. Like how gently yet quickly can you do this? And pause. Do a couple of large movements again. Just feel that that can be an easy movement. And then quicken it and make it small. And just feel, can you just let your pelvis just do this easy, gentle, yet relatively rapid oscillation, rocking backwards and forwards. So you really feel that weight. The weight, the surface, the point of contact, of the most contact between the floor and your pelvis, really feel that moving forward and back. Okay, great. And lie down on your back, have a rest. So just feel back into yourself and feel back into how you're lying. No. Rachel's just asking whether I wanted her to turn around, but no, that's fine. There you are. And just feel what parts of you feel smoother, wider, flatter. if any? It's a leading question, isn't it? So just feel how it is that you're lying, and is there anything that occurs to you that is different to before? And roll to the side, gently, easily, and come back up to sitting. Could you, so yeah, same position with the soles of your feet together and your hands behind yourself. Now, could you just start off with this gentle oscillation, not the oscillation, but just this gentle pushing out of your belly to roll your pelvis forward to 12 o'clock on this clock, and then to pull your belly in and to fold yourself. So your back, the back part of yourself is pushing further back, and you're rolling onto your back part of your pelvis. Just make that clear, make that apparent that that's what you're doing, is rolling forward and back. And then pause. Now can you just, from this middle neutral position, now just tilt yourself so your left knee comes down to the floor. So you're rolling forward, on your pelvis, and that left knee comes down and then come back. And so you're just going from the middle to the left, and then back to the middle and to the left. And just feel how you do this. And just be really clear, you're doing it with the same method, okay? And the method is you're expanding your abdomen, you're pushing your abdomen out and to the left to bring the left part of your pelvis more squarely down, which is going to bring your knee down. In fact, it's going to bring your whole left femur down. So just see how you can feel that. See how you can bring the whole length of your upper left leg down to the floor and then back. And to get back, you're doing the opposite. You're sucking your abdomen in, and you're letting your middle back push back as you fold forward. And what's folding forward? So it's kind of like the upper part of your torso, your shoulders are coming down, folding forward. So you're collapsing forward, you're flexing through the middle to roll back, and then you're doing the opposite. You're extending, you're puffing your abdomen out. It's almost like you're trying to drop your abdomen onto your left thigh, if such a thing was possible. But that's the direction. Let's go back and forth. And notice to do this, you're probably pushing more through your right hand to bring your left side down, because it's a sideways movement. And pause, just take the weight off your hands for a moment. Just give your hands a rest. And then come back into that position. And now can you do the same thing to the right? So you're pushing your abdomen out and over your right femur, over your right upper leg, to lower the right upper leg down, lower that knee down. And just feel how you do it on this side. You might be pushing through your left hand and then coming back to the middle. And then pause in the middle. Could you now alternate? So go once to the left, come back to the middle, and then once to the right. Come back to the middle, and then to the left again, and alternate. continue. Just feel. Is one side easier than the other side? And do you have a sense of symmetry here? Can you feel where you're doing this the same and where, I was going to say where it might get different, but let me be more specific. Feel for where it's more difficult, what side's more difficult, and then can you discern what it is about that side that you're doing differently? So feel your shoulders, like what you're doing with your shoulders. Feel the pressure pushing into either hand. And look around yourself as you do it. Just check out how your hands are lying. Are they the same distance apart away from your body? Are they pointing in the same direction? What about your elbows? Do you use your elbows in the same way? Do you flex your elbows or straighten them in the same way? You might feel there's differences in your pectoral muscles and how they're being used, like these, your breast muscles. Muscles of your chest. Also note the sensation in your pelvis as you do this. And pause, and can you lie back onto your back and have a rest? Notice how you're lying. Feel for what feels different, if anything. Now, when you rolled up or rolled to one side and came up to sitting before, just recall what side it was that you rolled to. And this time, can you roll to the other side and come up to sitting? And open your knees and put the soles of your feet together again. Now this time, instead of sitting normally, can you lean back on your elbows? So keep your feet and legs in the same orientation, but recline, so you're doing a semi-sitting, semi-lying position. And so your upper arms are coming straight down and vertical, and then your hands are somewhere near your hips. And you're able to lean on your elbows and just find a way to be comfortable here. And again, just pull your feet towards yourself and push them away from yourself and just find the comfortable position to be in. And once you have, can you do this 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock tilting of your pelvis again? So just to reiterate, 12 o'clock is just forward of your pubic bone, and 6 o'clock is just at this, 6 o'clock is where your sacrum is, this upper part of the back of your pelvis. And so tilt forward and back. And again, use your abdomen when you're doing this. So when you're tilting to 12 o'clock, you're pushing your abdomen out. And when you're rolling back to 6 o'clock, you're pulling your abdomen in. Back and forward. And let your head tilt as you're doing this. And just feel what the inclination is. Where does your head want to go as you do this 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock? So you might find that the natural inclination is as you're pulling your abdomen in and you're rolling back to 6 o'clock, and your chin comes down, your chin comes forward. And as you're pushing your abdomen out and you're rolling to 12 o'clock, then your chin comes back, your head goes back. So just allow yourself to do that. How naturally can you do that? And pause. You can lie down, take your weight off your elbows. So come back into that same position. So you're leaning on your elbows again, and your soles of your feet are pressed together and your knees are bent out. And once again, can you just roll forward and back, so 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock, and this time can you do the opposite thing with your head? So where your head was back before, as your pelvis came forward, now can you bring your head back as your pelvis comes back? So in a way, your head is actually moving in a corresponding gesture to your pelvis now, but it's inverse of what is habitual. And now revert to in phase. So do it habitually again. Just find the way that's comfortable for you to do it. And just feel, does it feel any easier now having done the opposite way? And just note where your feet are as well. Just notice if there's any inclination for your feet to get away from you as you do this. Notice your breathing. Can your breathing be a part of it? And lie back and have a rest. Just breathe. Breathe with a fullness in yourself and just notice the ease of your breathing. And roll to your side again and come back up to sitting. Come back up into that reclined position, so you're leaning on your elbows again. Draw your feet a little bit nearer to yourself. And once again, push your abdomen out, but do it to the left and drop your left knee and thigh to the floor. So you're going just to the left and then back, only to the left side. And let your head be a part of this movement. So just let your head and eyes also look to the left. And then pause. Now turn your head and eyes to the right as you lower your left knee to the floor. And now revert back to normal. So, what's normal? Poor choice of words, Simon. So revert to moving your head and eyes in the same direction as your weight is shifting on your pelvis, and the same side as the knee that's going down to the floor. So your left knee, it's just your left knee that's coming down. Your head and eyes are moving to the left. And now alternate. So move your head and eyes to the left with your knee once, and then the next time your knee comes down, move your head and eyes to the right. So your head and eyes are going left and right, but just moving your left knee down to the floor. Down to the floor, then back to the middle, and down to the floor again. So your head's making a full half circle over 2 movements. And then pause. This time keep your head in the middle and just move your eyes to the right as your left leg goes down. So as much as you can, just keep your face in the one place and just be really clear that you're moving your eyes to the right as your left knee comes down. And then it comes back to the middle, and your eyes move to the right again as your left knee comes down again. And lie back and have a rest. Okay, it's just a minor rest for your nervous system to just take a break, but come back into that same position, so reclining on your elbows with the soles of your feet together. Draw your feet a little nearer to yourself and push your abdomen out, and this time drop your right knee to the floor. So just going down to the right this time. Now where does your head want to go? Where do your eyes want to go? And just note the right side probably feels quite strange and quite uneducated compared to the left by now, because you've done so much on the left side. So just let the acumen of your right catch up. And just be gentle with yourself. Be soft with yourself. Be soft through yourself. Okay, and now alternate fully your left and right side. So push your abdomen out to the right, let your right knee come down, and then come back and push your abdomen out to the left and let your left knee come down, and alternate backwards and forwards. And let your head and eyes do what they want to do. Where do they want to go? And pause. So this time, keep your head in the middle and make your eyes go the opposite direction to the knee that's coming down. So as your right knee goes down, your eyes go to the left. As your left knee goes down, your eyes go to the right. And just continue. And which eye is leading here? So close your left eye and just do it with your right eye. So it's just your right eye that's moving in the alternate direction to the knee that's going down. Okay. Now close the other eye. Close your right eye and let your left eye go in the opposite direction to the knee that's going down. Okay, now open your eyes, keep your head in the middle and move your eyes in the same direction as the knee that's going down. So as your left knee goes down, your eyes go to the left. As your right knee goes down, your eyes go to the right. And pause, lie back on your back and have a rest. Listen to your breathing and recall these 5 main lines of your body. And what can you discern about yourself through those 5 lines now? If you think about that central line from your head down to your coccyx, how does that line occur to you now? What about your arms? And what about your legs? Which parts of yourself feel like they're connecting with the floor more than before, like in greater contact with the floor? And are there any parts that feel more lifted from the floor? Now stay lying on your back, but bend your knees and bring the soles of your feet together again, so your legs and your feet are in the same configuration as you've been doing, but you're lying on your back. And once again, can you push your abdomen out and forwards as you roll your pelvis forwards, and then pull your abdomen in and bring your back flattening to the ground as you roll your pelvis back and go forward and back this way. And as you do it, notice what your head's doing. Notice where your chin goes as you're doing this forward and back movement, this tilting of your pelvis, 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Pushing your abdomen out as you roll your pelvis down to 12 o'clock, and then pulling your abdomen in as you flatten your lumbar curve and roll back to 6 o'clock. Just feel, is there a corresponding movement of your nose and your chin? Tilting up as you come back, and then tilting down and forward as you roll forward. There's a correspondence between what your pelvis is doing and what your head's doing. Okay, so slacken off the tension here. Don't push as hard. Don't make this a more natural and easier movement that you can spend less energy doing and make it faster. So bring it more into this kind of a thing that has its own momentum. It's like a rocking, it's almost a soothing rocking motion. Tilting forward and back, tilting forward and back. Just notice, is your head doing a corresponding movement as you do this? Can it be equally easy for your chin to be moving up and down as it is for your pelvis to be rocking forward and back? And pause, just pause in this lying position for a moment. Okay, and now rock your pelvis forward so as to bring your left knee down to the floor. So you're pushing your abdomen out and to the left, so that left knee comes down to the floor. And then back. And then forward and to the left again. So just going back to the middle and then across to the left. And pause, and now you're right. So push the right side of your abdomen out and bring the right knee down to the floor. Just notice what your head does. Is there an equal inclination for the the contact with your head to move to the same place. So if this was like 2:30 on the clock face, where your pelvis is tilting down, forward and to the right, can you feel that where your head pressure moves to is a similar kind of 2:30 on the clock? And now can you alternate once to the left and once to the right, or once to the right and once to the left? And just feel the inclination of your head to be pulled in the same orientation. There's this really distinct connection between what your pelvis is doing and what the back of your head is doing. Okay, pause. And now do the opposite thing with your chin. So as your right knee's coming down, move your chin to the left, down and to the left. And as your left knee comes down, move your chin down to the right. Go back and forward that way. And now go back to synchronized. So chin is following the same direction as the movement of your pelvis. And pause, stretch out, have a rest on your back. Notice the surface area, the contact points. What's your generalized sense of comfort on the floor now? Stay on your back, bend your knees, bring your soles of your feet together again, so come back into that same position. Your knees flared out. And now just rock your pelvis 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock, forward and back. And just feel your head following, feel your chin following along. So as your pelvis is tilting forward, your chin's coming down. As your pelvis tilts back and your lumbar curve gets flattened, your chin's thrusting back, up. Just go back and forward. Just notice whether it feels easier. Is there less restraint or in the movement of your head to follow along with your pelvis now? Okay, pause. So now, can you move your head out of sync with your pelvis? So move your head in the opposite direction. So just set yourself up so you can have your chin doing the opposite thing to where your pelvis is directed, and then go backwards and forward. Just feel that, as odd as it feels, there is the capability to do this. You do have the capacity to move out of the habitual. Okay, now revert back to synchronized. It just feels even easier again to feel the freedom of your head and your neck to follow along with this gentle oscillation of your pelvis forward and back, up and down, up and down. And pause. Move your head in the opposite direction again, so moving out of sync. Pause, extend your legs long, have another rest. How are we doing for time? 50 minutes, okay. Nearly done. How's your spine lying now? Just feel how your back is against the floor. Do you have a sense of the straightness of the line of your spine? As in the median line of your body, the midline of your body? Stay on your back and bring your legs into the same position. So your soles of your feet are together and your knees are bent and hanging out. And move into the same rocking motion of your pelvis. So 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock, forward and back. Now, as you do it, look down with your eyes, just your eyes, when your abdomen is full and pushed out. And then do the opposite thing as your abdomen pulls in and your pelvis pulls back. So, so just really be clear. You're looking directly up at your forehead when your pelvis comes back, and you're looking down toward your feet with your eyes, but it's not about the movement of your head this time. We're differentiating the movement of your eyes from your head and the rest of the movement. Well, the movement of your spine. Just notice the speed with which you're doing it, and this curious thing that can only go as fast as the eyes can go. See if you can go faster with your eyes. Or go as fast as you want with your pelvis, and then see if your eyes are able to do it at that speed as well. For most people, it's the eyes that limit the speed of the movement. Okay, stop the movement of your pelvis. Can you close your eyes and simultaneously look up with your right eye as you look down with your left eye? Now, admittedly, this is not possible to do unless you've had years of training to do it, but just think it. See if you can think it. And Feldenkrais makes the point that it's not as easy as people think to just be able to think that you can do a thing. So see if you can enter into the imagining and summon up the sensation in your body of looking up with one eye as you're looking down with the other eye. And then alternate. Alternate up with your left eye, down with your right eye, and then down with your left eye and up with your right eye. And then don't only do that, but now speed that up as well. Think about doing that in an accelerated fashion. Okay, and pause. And now, keeping your eyes closed, look with both eyes together, look up, and with both eyes together, look down. Go up and down. Make it as smooth yet rapid as you can. Feel whether it's any different to a moment ago. And now bring your pelvis in as well. So let your pelvis be led by the fluency and speed of your eyes. And now let go with this effort of your eyes and just let it just be a full-bodied, fluent movement. So you're just oscillating upwards and downwards, forward and back with your pelvis, letting the movement flow down the length of your spine or up the length of your spine into your head and your neck. And just let this be a full-body movement. Just enjoy the capacity of the connection between your head and your pelvis. The freedom that your rib muscles are offering up here. Your chest muscles, your lower back muscles, that all of these are just acting in accordance with one another in a gesture of humanity to yourself. Okay, pause. Can you interlace your fingers and your hands and put them behind your head? Now think of that, the midline of your body I've referred to a couple of times. And so where your heels are meeting and where your toes are meeting and where your pubic bone is, where your belly button is, where your sternum is, your chin and your nose and between your eyes and the joins of the webbing of your hands. Just think of this midline of yourself. And just think, does it feel like it is one nice straight line? So don't adjust yourself, just feel how you are on this plane, the median plane of your body. And then just once, can you, and pay attention to your back because this can be an effort, but lift your feet off the ground. And now place them back down. And now using your hands, lift your head off the ground. Place your head back down. Lift your feet again. As you lower your feet, lift your head. And just feel in this way, can you just have the sense of this nice, long, straight midline of yourself. And I want to leave you with this sensation of this beautiful clarity of a middle. And then let that go, just lie and rest. Let your legs lie long, your arms long. Enjoy the sensation of the contact with the floor and stay here for as long as you like. And when you're done, roll to your side and sit up and stand up and have a little walk around the house and just feel your balance and feel this sense of what you've gotten out of this lesson. And I implore you to take that into the rest of the day or night as it is. I've recorded this lesson before this live stream, so I'm monitoring this class. If you have any questions now, I'll be on Facebook answering or able to answer. I hope you've enjoyed this lesson, and I'll see you again next week for lesson 8. Bye for now.